Welcome to 4C Radio. We are broadcasting from the central campus of Christ University, Bengaluru. 4C Radio is brought to you by the Department of Media Studies of Christ University. For all who are looking for a platform that focuses on communities, commons, climate, and communication, this is the place to be. What's more, this station is run by a diverse community of students and dedicated faculty members. Tune in to experience hard-hitting interviews, fact checks, and myth-busting, on-ground stories, campus news, and more. The advent of satellite television in India brought international celebrities into the limelight of Indian living rooms. Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts might have become household names here, but there was another category of celebrities that caught the nation's attention. This category of celebrities did not come from movie channels or sport channels. These celebrities came from Discovery Channel, National Geographic, and Animal Planet. All of us were and still are in awe of David Attenborough's calming commentary about animal life. Then we had the unbelievable antiques of the late Steve Irwin, whose love for animals knew no bounds. But the most inspiring of them all was Jane Goodall. In this episode, our student reporter Shovangi Biswas pays tribute to everybody's favorite primatologist who died at the age of 91 on October 1st.
Hope in the Wild, Remembering Jane Goodall. Dame Jane Goodall, acclaimed primatologist, breathed her last on October 1st, 2025. She was 91. Jane, in her time, was awarded the prestigious Templeton Prize and the Stephen Hawking Medal for Science Communication for her unparalleled contribution to science. In 2003, she received the title of a Dame Commander by the Order of the British Empire under the late Queen Elizabeth II. Most recently, before her passing, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Jane, born in 1934, was fascinated by animals from a young age. Her stuffed chimpanzee Jubilee, a gift from her father, was a prized possession. Jubilee opened a secret window for Jane. The world of the primates became her lifelong curiosity, and a visit to the tropical forests of Africa her dream. At 18, pursuing her dream to live amongst animals, she landed at the doorstep of Louis Leakey, the famed paleoanthropologist. She spoke about her mentor in an interview.
So I got this job in Nairobi, and then somebody said, if you're interested in animals, you must meet Louis Leakey. So I rang up. I've always said, I'm Leakey, what do you want? He hated the telephone. And so I said I wanted to meet him. And he said, come to the museum, Natural History Museum. Asked me all these questions, took me around. And I think he was amazed that a young girl straight from England with no degree knew so much. Because I had done what my mother suggested. I'd gone on learning about Africa, read books, been around the Natural History Museum in London. So I could answer many of his questions. And he offered me a job just like that, boom, first day. And I said, rather cheekily, I suppose, well, this is fantastic, but before I settle down because it was a secretary, to work for you, I must get out into Africa. I must. I've come all this way and I must go out into the wild and see a lion and. So he let me go with himself, his wife, one other young English girl who also worked at the museum, about 5 Kenyans, to what is now a very famous place, Olduvai Gorge, where many human fossils have been found. But in those days, only animal fossils. So it was totally unknown. It was completely wild. There were no people there. There were no roads. There was no trail. There was no track. There was nothing. And the Leakeys had been there about 4 summers running because they were convinced that they would find early human remains, which of course they did. But when I went there, they hadn't yet. So there it was, wild, untouched Africa.
Leakey, impressed by Jane's curiosity, determination, and knowledge about Africa and the life of primates, gave her a job. But Jane wanted more. She desired beyond anything to see the Central African forest with her own eyes, experience the animals' home as if she were a part of it. Lewis put her in the part of the primates, with Diane Fossey and Birute Galdikas, to study the primates in Tanzania. At the Gombe Stream National Park, Goodall moved around the forests, pocketbook in hand and tiny binoculars constantly aimed at the wild chimps. In her pioneering research, she found that chimpanzees fight wars, show compassion to her fellow mates, and nurture their young much like humans. Jane pioneered the practice of naming animals human names rather than numbers, as was the scientific convention at the time. Her groundbreaking research that chimps make and use tools was considered one of the greatest achievements of the 20th century. It transformed what scientists till the time knew of the strengths of the primate brain. Personalities from across the world have paid their tributes to Jane. David Attenborough, his voice synonymous with wildlife documentaries, said in remembrance, "She brought the plight of the chimpanzees, and indeed all wildlife, into the public consciousness in a way no one else had done before." Since Jane's discoveries in 1960, decades have passed. The chimp population at Gombe National Reserve has depleted from roughly 120 to approximately 90 in 2020. Overall, the chimpanzee population in Africa has dwindled from 1 million to 150,000 today. In 1977, Jane founded the Jane Goodall Institute. Her rigorous work in Tanzania made her see the world differently. She believed in preserving the earth.
So I went to the conference planning to carry on with my blissfully idyllic life out in the field, learning about these incredible beings, doing what I love to do, doing some analysis of the data, bit of lecturing. Perfect. But I came out as an activist because in that session on conservation, seeing right across Africa the destruction of habitat, seeing the beginning of the bushmeat trade, the commercial hunting of wild animals, including chimps for food, the session on the secretly filmed footage in some of the medical research labs, utterly shocking. And now I had this new self-confidence because of publishing that book and learning what I didn't know before. I came out as an activist. And since that day, I haven't spent more than 3 weeks in any one place, except once when I tore the ligaments on both ankles and I needed an extra week or so to get better. And since then, I've been traveling the world, going in wider and wider circles, trying to raise awareness about the situation we've plunged the planet into, starting with the plight of the chimpanzees, learning more about the plight of the forest, realizing more about the problems of Africa, realizing how many of those could be laid at the door of the developed world and our unsustainable lifestyles and our greed in taking more of the resources than is our fair share, and the other elite communities around the world, including in Africa, learning how everything is interrelated, learning more that made me realize, well, I have to spend time in the US, I have to spend time in Europe, I must spend more time in Asia. So it's become a ridiculous lifestyle, traveling 300 days a year. And I wouldn't do it if it didn't appear to be having an impact on the people who come to listen to my talks. Trying to find time in between to write books, because I love writing books. I love sharing by writing. And trying to use the gifts I was given. It's not something you learn how to do to be able to communicate. Yes, you can get better at it. But I always wanted to write books to share. And then I found that not only could I write books to share, which people wanted to read, but that I could also give lectures that people wanted to come to and that made an impact. And if they didn't, I wouldn't do them. I could go back to living in the forest, which is what I love. But how can I go and live in the forest when it's disappearing? And I feel that maybe there's something I can do by inspiring others to take action so that we create, hopefully, a critical mass of people who think differently.
To battle the problem of depleting natural habitat and declining chimp population led her to start the Root and Shoots program. Root and Shoots became a sought-after program for young conservationists who believed in Jane's vision. Jane has written 32 books, 15 of which are written for children. Her final publication before her death was called The Book of Hope, a survival guide for trying times. Jane decided to make a difference by caring, being compassionate, and standing up for the ideals she believed in. The onus lies now on us to carry the torch that she left behind. In her final media appearance in an unreleased Netflix documentary, she revealed to Brad Falchuk,
above all, I want you to think about the fact that we are part, when we're on planet Earth, we are part of Mother Nature. We depend on Mother Nature for clean air, for water, for food, for clothing, for everything. And as we destroy one ecosystem after another, as we create worse climate change, worse loss of diversity, we have to do everything in our power to make the world a better place for the children alive today and for those that will follow. You have it in your power to make a difference. Don't give up. There is a future for you. Do your best while you're still on this beautiful planet Earth that I look down upon from where I am now. God bless you all.
What an inspiring human being. The real tribute we as a society can give Dr. Goodall is not to talk about her, but work to make a difference to the animals and the ecosystem she loved. And at 4C Radio, we have been trying to do just that by involving students and creating space for deliberations on climate, communities, commons, and communication. In the past 4 months, we have shared 18 episodes with you that encompass topics related to the environment, journalism, and youth. We hope you have listened to a few and shared with your families and friends. But now, as we close for the semester break, it's time to pause. We will be back in 3 weeks with more engaging shows, interviews, reportage, and analysis. Do write to us on our socials with your comments and suggestions. Until then, as always, stay curious and question everything. Reportage in this episode was done by Shovangi. This podcast was illustrated by Varnika Singh and was edited and hosted by Srinivas Aditya. So follow us, subscribe, and share widely.